dear friend of mine. I greatly appreciate it. Matt Bowe.
Thank you, Brad. One of the things Coach wanted me to talk about was character development with you guys. Year-round training, taking care of injuries. And again, I'm just a guy off the street, and I've had a lot of victories. I haven't had a lot of losses because I don't want to let it happen. Okay? And that's a state of mind. We're going to get into some of that stuff. What I've adopted with my athletes and just in life is something called MOVE, M-O-V-E. Okay? Motivate others via encouragement. Okay? That is the number one thing I believe in character development if you're on a team. Okay? You've got to motivate the people around you. How you do it, I don't know. You've got to come up with your own definition of motivation. You've just got to motivate each other. You've got to surround yourself with good people. There's nothing I hate more than to be in a training cycle with somebody that is weaker than I am. I want to find someone that's stronger than I am to push. So I believe, Brad, we discussed this, I believe to motivate each other, okay? And you can, like I said, I'm nobody. I'm just a guy off the street here that lifts weights and once a meets, working with 100,000 athletes. You know, got a lot of experience around it. You've got to adopt it and become more mature as an athlete and motivate the person you hate next to you on the team. I don't like everybody I've always been on a team with. I'm on a team with some guys now. Do you like everybody? No, but you gotta motivate in some way. Do you do it sincerely? Yeah, you gotta do it sincerely. But motivation, not just self-motivation, but motivating others, I think is a very, very big component. And I know just from a coaching standpoint, if I've got someone I know that needs a little motivation, what is wrong with me saying, you know what, you're doing great, but you can do better. Just the smallest thing, you never know what you can do, can motivate your teammates. You may even motivate your coaches. Because I tell you what, I've been around a lot of coaches that are sad. They're sad about their careers. They've ended up somewhere where they don't want to be. And they're stuck in coaching. I've got to coach this team. Well, I tell you what, y'all are in formidable years right now. If you don't have people great around you, which seems like you do here, they're going to take you down with your ship. So you even have to be mature enough sometimes to say, hey, coach, can we go grab a hamburger or something? I don't know how it works here. And I just tell you, I'm no religious freak, but I haven't won as much as I've won in where I am today without a source. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's out there watching out for you. Year-round training. It is an art. Okay? It is an art. You never rest. You cannot rest. And as far as injuries are concerned, you're either going to attack it or sit on your butt and let it attack you. So, if something happens and your first response is, oh my God, just blew my ankle out, it's going to take me 12 to 16 weeks after surgery to even start walking normally on that. That's one response. Or you break your ankle, you know what? Let's just set that. Chemicals, there's a chemical response in your brain that puts chemicals down in that part of your body that tells that ankle, you know what? If this guy's going to kick my butt, or the ankle's going to go, you know what? I'm going to kick his butt. It's true. It's physiologically, Brad, you know this. Just like your fight and flight response. Okay? You're going to want to fight or you're going to want to flight. Okay? And there's a time to do both that. I'm not endorsing any of that. But I'd rather fight through something. So, it's not your coach's fault if your ankle isn't getting better. It's not your coach's fault if you're slow. It's not your coach's fault if you're not benching 400 pounds. At the end of the day, you better just get in there and do it. If your vertical leap's 12 inches, get it to 18, just do it. How do you do it? I don't suggest drugs. I've never taken steroids. Looking back, sometimes I wish I would have. But that's been one of my things. I would never do that. And I've suffered greatly with injuries because of it. Because most of the guys in my profession and in pro sports that use steroids, they use it for recovery. But I tell you this is my opinion. The second you think you're going to use a steroid, you got a chink in your arm. That's when you've given up on yourself. You've just given up on yourself. Why not just do cocaine before the game, do steroids? We'll get high afterwards. We'll always have something else making us feel good. You've got to decide now I'm going to get through an injury. I'm going to do it. I love Coach Loki, but he's just there as a guy. Okay? You go out and rob a liquor store, I mean, that's not his fault. He's probably tried. Hey, do this. You got to figure it out for yourselves. And Coach, I think you'd agree with it. If you can take your guidelines, I mean, they've got to figure things out for yourselves. I mean, I'm sure you've heard some of this from Coach Alexander too. I mean, you just got to figure out why someone's whooping your butt in that game. You got to figure it out. I can coach you, but you got to figure it out yourself. And none of us like being whooped on any quarter play. Kind of got off on injuries there. I'd like to talk here a second about just the art of training. The younger you are, y'all got a lot of testosterone run around and you can heal a lot easier. And do they lift all year round, Coach?
We're tempted to.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to do it. This is where it hits you right here. And I'm not going to go through training cycles or physiology or anything. There's going to be a point on the football field or the volleyball court or the baseball field where there's a deciding moment and you get your butt whooped and you go, you know what? If I was a little faster, if I could have jumped a little higher, if I was meaner, let's face it, you've got to have some meanness in you to play active. You've got to be dual personality. Mr. Nice Guy, when you're on there. I mean, I was that way. It's a survival game. Survival of the fittest. I always wanted someone to just look at me after the game and say, you know what? I ain't even in his league. But there's going to be a point, probably a pivotal point, where you realize, God, I could have jumped higher. I could have gotten faster. Man, I should have gone out on Saturdays with Coach Loki and that running group. Or, I should have done this. Should have done is a cop-out. You just made a mistake, you didn't do it, you're weak and you're lazy. Period. You go home and cry to mom and daddy and take up Coach Alexander's time in his office, but, eventually you just got to do it. That's my philosophy. I think that you need to train all year round. I've got to train heavy all the time. Brad's done it too. I mean, there's even more art to that. You got to peak when it counts. He's the guy that's going to help you peak when it counts. And I know because I've had conversations with him, intellectual, physiological conversations, and it all makes sense. But none of that is worth a crap unless you've got the heart to do it. Okay? And what I like to do is preach something called create separation. Okay? This is what I live by. When you have a cold day, the coldest day, when you have the hottest day, when it's raining out, I mean, I was squatting outside on my patio last, when was it? Tuesday night, and it was snowing. And I had a kid I'm mentoring right now, and he's fallen into this now with me that, I'm not going to the YMCA anymore. I don't want a pretty indoor facility, we're just get out and do it. And I was in the hospital this time last week, but I don't miss workouts. Because you know what? All those excuses and being lazy and all, my throat hurts, blah, 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 it's going to add up one day when you're sitting there at the state, the national championship, and you're going to be at 70%. You're like, why am I functioning at 70%? Because you never trained at 100. Period. It's just common sense. Let's get into some more videos here. But the more that you do, in my opinion, to create separation, the more bad days you get, the more injuries you overcome. You're separating yourself from your competition. See, I assume my competition is fat and out of shape and lazy. I always assume that. But then I assume there's some guy out there that hates my guts. There's always that guy there. There's always that person that doesn't like you. He wants to kill you. He wants to destroy you. I don't like being destroyed. I don't like destruction on me. So, at the end of the day, you gotta decide too, how am I going to create this separation?